Well, if there's anybody that has a worse record than James Franklin in big games, it's UGA in their last 11 against Alabama, winning one of them, a pretty big one. We will give them credit for that. Cole, we will finally come back to the SEC on this one and let you talk a little bit about, listen, we don't make a big deal about this, but your Crimson Tide winning in Athens. Kirby's cursed. I mean, he's great, right? He's still the number one coach in the sport, but something about that Crimson. So kind of the way that it happens with Gus Malzahn, just the opposite. How Gus sees the Crimson and the lasers in his eyes are just like, you're going down today, boys. Kirby sees it and does the all the games are fun. They're good.
Yeah.
But Kirby sees it and the absolute opposite happens. And so go ahead.
Great game. I mean, honestly, it was a matchup that came in 4 different quarters, and each one was like an act of a play that went from good to terrifying to horrendously awful, shield your eyes, to, okay, you can take an exhale. There's a happy ending if you're a Crimson Tide fan. Or it's dreadful, disastrous, then comes the second act, and that is fantastic. Here we are as Georgia fans, kind of getting back into the element. Round 3, oh my God, we're about ready to take on over. The villain is about to be vanquished, and then here we are once again, finding a way to be 1-9 in our last 10 matchups against the University of Alabama, despite having one game that was a national title against the Crimson Tide. Ty Simpson, what a phenomenal performance. I mean, you seriously cannot ask more from what this kid has been. And I think that this is such a key trait of, we cannot hit the panic button after one game. Because I remember coming on this show, I remember telling you guys on a Monday morning that the one person that actually impressed me in that loss to Florida State was Ty Simpson. Looked the part, always felt like that he was in it, never felt too rattled, made a couple of errors, but it was his first start. Things will be able to be transcended. A lot of people said, you got to turn to Keelan Russell. Let Austin Mack start getting some reps. He's been the best quarterback in the SEC since week 2. And he did so once again on the biggest stage against a Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann-led defense. 278 yards, started off the game 8 for 8 on third down conversions, 11 of 14 passing, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bad drop that came from Ryan Williams, but you responded with that with a big Jeremy Bernard touchdown, who at this point has made sure everyone knows he is wide receiver 1, like I told you he was going to be at the start of the year. And defensively, you were able to at least blanket the wide receivers that were so explosive out in Neyland in the first half that you made Georgia beat you on the ground. Here was the problem. Georgia could beat you on the ground. Georgia was able to utilize its rushing attack and be able to pile drive it past you. Bad tackling in the open field starting in the second quarter, and it allowed them to kind of work their way back in. Chauncey Bowens, 9.9 yards of play, 3 runs of over 15 yards downfield. Dylan Bell with the fake runaround to the Zachariah Branch pitch that then went for a 43-yard gain. Nate Frazier averaged 7.5 yards a game. Josh McCray inside the red zone was a terror to tackle, and it was clear that he was going to do everything in his power to get into the end zone. So those are things that you're going to have to clean up if you are Alabama. But then you also got to remember, we have this thing that's in our back pocket that we have not fully unveiled, and that is the beauty of Ryan Grubb reuniting with Kalen DeBoer and creating a super demon offensively. Because of who is the sicko that says, let's go ahead and get the ball to a 360-pound offensive lineman. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tell 190-pound wide receivers to block like there is no tomorrow, because if you don't, he is going to truck you and put you in a position where you're going to be on the IR for the rest of the year. He was moving down the field against this Georgia defensive front, and nobody could tackle him, and it led to another touchdown run by Ty Simpson to get you a good 10-point lead in the red zone. You had an offensive identity. You got the bag. You got in your element. Ryan Grubb truly is Weapon X down in Tuscaloosa. And it's why I think that this year's going to be different for Alabama. I know you lost week 1, but at the same time, you have so much positivity on where this offense is. You don't have to worry about just Ryan Williams being the dude. You still have Isaiah Horton. You still have what you got in Josh Service, the tight end. You got to feel confident that Jam Miller out of the backfield as a receiving threat can get the ball rolling. You feel good about some of your young freshmen. I mean, Loisier Brooks had a big-time catch in this game, and there was more continuity, more consistency that you never saw last season when Nick Sheridan was running the show. You got to clean up some stuff. You cannot be one-dimensional as an offense. But when you did need to go ahead and get that 1 yard, what a play call by Ryan Grubb. I mean, the Jam Miller play was one thing, but if you go back and you watch the film, he made sure that there was a delay response by Josh Service to go on over the top, put themselves in a position where if Simpson didn't hit Jam Miller, he could have hit Service and he would have been off for a touchdown. And he probably would have slid because of naturally you don't want to give any opportunity for Georgia to fight their way back. But it's play designs like that that shows that this Alabama team is different. And it's so easy to talk about Kalen DeBoer and how Kalen DeBoer lost on the road. He was 2-5 going into this game in road environments, but losses to Mike Norvell and Sharon Moore and Clark Lee. Guys, he's also 8-0 against Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, Steve Sarkisian, and Brian Kelly. I mean, he wins against the biggest coaches in the biggest spots. And the team looks the part of being a national champion contender. Now, there's got to be a lot of things to clean up. The run defense specifically. You cannot allow second opportunities to teams like Oklahoma or even Missouri because Missouri's got 2 running backs that can beat you. But there's so much to like about the direction of where they are. As for Georgia, people are going to hit the panic button. I understand. You had a bad game. It wasn't an elite play calling. You didn't go for you went for it on 4th down. Incredible stop by LT Overton to go ahead and bring down Cash Jones with a shoelace tackle. But it's still Georgia. At the end of the day, Alabama's your kryptonite. Sometimes you just lose to a team and it doesn't really matter the case. You still end up being better for it at the end of the year. That's what we saw last season. Lose to Ole Miss, you lose to Georgia. Alabama still won the SEC title. Still went 10-2. That's who you were. I still also think that with your schedule, 11-1 is possible. 10-2 is probably at worst. You're still going to be in the playoff, and you'll get your chance for revenge in an elimination game. I don't worry about it. But there's also going to be people out there that are on both sides saying Alabama didn't deserve to win the football game, or Alabama mollywopped you because we were just the better team. Whatever it is. Georgia fans, I don't mean to say this as an Alabama grad. I mean to say this because this is what the stats say. You lost the turnover battle. You were horrendous on 3rd down. You were 2 of 11. You lost that battle because of Alabama was 13-19. My bad, 2 of 8. You were 0 of 1 on 4th down conversions. You had fewer yards, 397 to 356. You may have you had the lower passer rating in both passing yards and yards per pass attempt. You only won in 2 categories: rushing yards, penalties. You were never going to win this football game, and yet it still was a 3-point swing. You don't have that turnover inside of your red zone where they get the kick from Talty. Maybe you end up winning this football game. If you go for the field goal instead of the actual stop, maybe you win this football game. Doesn't change my opinion on where you are as a program, and certainly does not change my opinion on what direction you're going to be with Kirby Smart. I think for Alabama, you gain a lot of respect.
Yeah, I will give Sleeper a little bit of love. Listen, if you're depositing, use our code CFA, get a 100% match up to $100. We will play the more or less game on Wednesday, where you pick 2 of your favorite picks or more. You can win up to 1,000 times your money. There are some free picks that you can go get right now. Like, I think Jared Goff has like 0.5 as an over-under for passing yards. So, supposing he doesn't get hurt on the first play of the game, should be relatively safe there. Bunch of free picks that you can go and stack together. Check Sleeper's terms and conditions because terms of use do apply. We appreciate Sleeper for their support. Tune in on Wednesday live at noon so we can talk about our picks. And again, appreciate Sleeper for all of their support. I feel like the overreaction, that's what we do every week, right? Not we specifically, but that's what we as fans do every week. It's just overreact like hell, right? And, like Tom's overreaction today is more like of a big picture thing. Like, they'll be fine the rest of the year. Like, their floor is still like 9-3, right? Like, and that doesn't get you in the playoff, but they're not falling off to like 6-6. Whereas after Alabama lost to Florida State, we thought like, well, man, Georgia's going to be tough and they got to play Oklahoma and Tennessee. And we thought like, yeah, their floor really might be 6-6. Certainly doesn't look that way now. But like for a Georgia overreaction, I understand the standard and I understand how good they've been. Those look like 2 top 5 teams to me. And I know that neither one of them is top 5 right now because, there are a lot of undefeated teams ahead of them. And there are a lot of teams with impressive wins ahead of them that don't have a loss to a Florida State team that was unranked at the time and all this stuff. But man, I don't think either one of us would be shocked if one of these 2 teams was in the top 4 because they won the SEC and the other was in the top 5 because they lost the SEC. Like, I'm not saying that happens, but yeah, I think we're probably, Georgia should certainly be frustrated. But again, that looked like 2 top 5-ish teams to me. And I think that's probably the way it'll probably shake out with him being. Like, I'd be surprised if those two teams didn't finish in the top 8. Would probably be the safest thing that I could say.
I would be shocked if both of them are not in the playoff.
Right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And looking at the rest of Georgia's schedule, like home against Kentucky, at Auburn, I think that's going to be tricky, but you should win that game. Auburn will give them a challenge. Ole Miss, I know they're number 4 right now, but the variance is very variant. It's just inconsistent on both sides of the ball, but that is going to be a challenge. Then it's home against Florida, at Mississippi State, home against Texas. Texas, I still don't necessarily trust. I don't think they're a top 5 team. So I think the jury's still out. Then you play Charlotte, and then you end the season against Georgia Tech. So I agree with what Cole said before. There's still a really strong possibility Georgia finishes with 1-2 losses. And I wouldn't be shocked if the teams we just saw 2 could